Someone's going to the wash.
Someone's filling the Brita filter.
Hello,
Oh, boy.
hello. What's up, folks? Welcome to the Sidekick Show. It is Monday, a holiday. So if you're joining us, thanks for joining us on a holiday. Rob's going to say it's not a random holiday. It is a Victoria Day.
No, you always say where it's a random Monday, and I always say there is no such thing as random Mondays. Every Monday it's just a holiday Monday.
It's how the days of the week work. That's it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but you never know. One day we'll get to a point where they'll be randomly shuffled into a mixer. But yeah, so welcome to the Sidekick Show, folks. Yeah, it's a holiday, so it's crazy. Rob's already drunk, right?
I have been partaking in a fair amount of beverages today. Yes. Yeah, but I'm good. I got another one to crack open, and I am good to go. How much have you been drinking?
I've only got this one glass of whiskey mixed with my Coke. I'm not hardcore like you.
Okay, and Chris?
Water only today.
So you've been hitting the bong instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see John do a spit take.
Yep. All right, everyone. I see John in the chat. I see Lewis in the chat. What up, Fraser? Fraser says, "Well lubricated." Yeah, are we all? Anyway, so we're here to talk about our John Wickathon. I don't know if that's a good name to call it or not, but we're on Chapter 2, so we're going to be talking about John Wick. So stay tuned for that. We're going to hit you with some store recommendations and some news. I think we're pretty light today because of the holiday. So I only decided to pull one thing, and I just want to mention, if you dig John Wick 2 and the idea of the whole high table concept and things like that, I am going to recommend a book that we do carry at the store, one of our all-time favorites, and that's 100 Bullets. So if you haven't read this, great book. It's a very gritty kind of crime drama that starts off with this concept of the older guy in the picture there. His name's Agent Graves, and he walks up to you with a suitcase full of 100 bullets, and he says, and he gives you a whole bunch of evidence against someone who has wronged you in some point in your life, and says, hey, all these bullets are completely untraceable. They ever turn up in a investigation, all investigations are going to cease, that kind of stuff. And then he goes, here, do with it what you will, and then just kind of walks away. And then that's the overall concept of the book, but then it spins out into this whole kind of crazy stuff. So if you like how John Wick kind of exploded into this whole like world universe, and then that the whole seats at the high table, like 100 Bullets has this thing called the Trust and all that kind of stuff. Definitely check that out. One of my all-time favorites. We love it at the shop. We have
it's actually in. I have the trades in the shelving units down there. The 5 of them or the 4 of them. They're amazing. I love it. I want to get that omnibus. I have to. That's something I might actually double dip on because that omnibus looks amazing.
Yeah. I missed out on they did oversized hardcovers, which had two volumes in each, and they looked really nice, really fresh. And I kind of skipped on them. Now they're worth a ton of money on the aftermarket, so I kind of regret not doing that. So the next best thing is that omnibus hardcover that Rob's talking about, and we do have that in stock at the shop. So if you want to check it out, let me know. Send your pictures, send it to you, whatever you want. So that's it for just kind of stuff coming to the shop. We got a bunch of new releases. I do have it posted on the Facebook and the Instagram, so you can check that out for newest comic releases. And then let's kick it to Rob if he's got a little bit of news tidbits, and then we're going to talk.
I do actually have a quick question. Isn't this week the release of the Tomasi Gleason Superman omnibus? Is that? I think it's this week, right?
I didn't see it on there. Yeah, I didn't see it on there, but I didn't look at my DC invoice that closely, so it might be there, and maybe I missed it.
All right, I'm very excited for that. Okay, yeah, so just a couple of hits of news, John and Chris. First of all, we talked a lot about the fact that this year Warner Brothers was releasing movies in theaters and HBO Max. It was kind of pissing a lot of people off back in December, or I guess November of 2020. Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot were able to, they got a bit of a bonus, a financial incentive because they weren't going to get anything off the back end of the theater cut. Denis Villeneuve, who directed Dune, was one of the very outspoken, as well as Christopher Nolan, very outspoken about this. Well, Warner Brothers has decided to remove Dune from HBO Max, and it will be exclusively in theaters come October. So if you were hoping to watch Dune in the confines and the comfort of your home, It's not going to happen. Also wanted to talk about, this is interesting. So in a recent interview, and I think it was with Variety, I could be wrong, Kevin Feige was asked about his decision, or Marvel's decision, to cast Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that because the Ancient One in the comics was of Asian descent, and they cast a white woman. So at the time,
who did a wicked job though, didn't she? She did a wicked job.
I thought Tilda Swinton was really good.
Yeah.
At the time, Kevin Feige said, "Listen, the Ancient One is a moniker that's passed to person. Doesn't mean that there wasn't someone of Asian descent, but right now it's this." He has kind of come out now and said, "Listen, we kind of screwed up." And I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but essentially what he was saying is, when we were making the decision, we didn't want it to be a caricature of a character of a person, and they didn't understand how best to go about portraying that character without almost being laughable, right? So they have since learned, he says, working on Shang-Chi has all opened his eyes on how best to have full representation. So he actually has a little bit of regrets, even though he thought Tilda Swinton did a great job, just as you said, John. He does have some regrets looking back on it, saying that they should have gone and cast an individual of Asian descent to be able to portray the Ancient One. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's nice that they acknowledged it. I still did like that performer's, like her performance, I guess, her creation of that character. So I wasn't mad at it, but I'm not a hardcore Doctor Strange guy, so I didn't even know that this character was supposed to be yada yada yada. So no, I don't remember hearing any noise at the time. So I'm okay with it. I like that they acknowledge it. It's interesting, and they're moving forward. They're gonna expand. They've already done that, so I feel like they're doing a lot more than anyone else. So
cool. All right. Last in December, Disney had announced, or sorry, I guess it was more Lucasfilm. They had announced a whole slate of new Star Wars properties coming out. Do you remember this? They had that video of Patty Jenkins walking, and she jumped into that fighter, and put on the fighter outfit, and because her dad was a pilot, and so she was going to be helming a new Star Wars movie. And they announced Rangers of the New Republic. This was going to spin off from The Mandalorian. And if you remember, it was supposed to be Gina Carano was supposed to be headlining this series. Well, as you may remember, Gina Carano issued some posts on social media earlier this year that didn't sit well with Disney executives. She was essentially fired from The Mandalorian or any future installments, and as of now, the Rangers of the New Republic is no longer going forward. They've completely cut the property altogether. So that was interesting. And lastly, there's been a lot of listen. MGM as a studio has been on the for sale block for years and years and years. It looks like Amazon is the latest company to try to get into the more of a movie distribution or and ownership of rights pool by I guess courting MGM, or maybe MGM are courting Amazon. Here's the issue. MGM owns the distribution rights to the James Bond franchise, and this could be like a massive issue. I think Amazon wants to control all of it. And the Eon Productions, which is run by the Broccoli family, who are the owners of James Bond proper, are not interested in making spin-off television shows and watering down essentially the product of James Bond. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Jeff Bezos and company do if they are going to try to acquire MGM, and whether or not we get to see a Bond as part of an Amazon deal. If you remember correctly, last year, Apple was reportedly in negotiations to purchase No Time to Die. But the Broccoli's wanted $600 million for the movie. So we're gonna have there's gonna be some issues with what goes forward there. But that's just the latest news in Hollywood, is that Amazon is looking to purchase MGM, which does own the rights to, or distribution rights to the James Bond franchise. So we'll see. And that's all I got for you guys.
Yeah, a lot of money is thrown around. How they got all this money I wonder.
Yeah, those prime dollars.
I feel like they can't have it both ways. You can't sell your studio or whatever, and then maintain control over, I guess, your main property. You've kind of sold it. Like, quit.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of the rights, right? Like Eon and the Broccoli's own the rights to Bond. MGM just has partial ownership of the back catalog, but as well as the distribution. So the last few Daniel Craig movies were actually distributed in North America by Sony. Like it was Sony, purchased it to be able to distribute it throughout, but it was still an MGM production that was then licensed from the Eon company, right? So there is a little bit of red tape there on how that's going to happen, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. James Bond using an Alexa in future installments. Who knows?
Alexa.
Alexa, where's you? And it pops open. It's like a watch inside with a laser, and you slaps it on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So
that's all I got.
Yeah, it's all Rob's got. That's big news. That's something crazy, but I feel like we're not going to know a lot of what shakes out of that until end result, and then even after that, it's probably going to take a while for them to suss out what's going on if this acquisition happens. Yeah, Gordon says Alexa is the new Q.
There you go.
Why not? And then everyone can have their own Q going on. So So yeah, that's it. So news, new releases.
I would actually add that the Eternals teaser came out. If you hadn't seen it, go watch it. Yeah. Also check out our reaction to it on this channel. Yeah.
So yeah. Eternals trailer dropped first thing this morning. Rob sent me a message. I don't remember what time in the morning. And he was like,
it was like 9:10. I sent him a text 9:10 saying, "Hey, Eternals poster. Here's the new trailer. Just drops." He then messaged me like 10 minutes later. He goes, "Are you up?" I was like, "Dummy, who the heck sent it to you?"
Maybe you just sent it and then went back to sleep, or you got it on auto feed the news. This is the question for Rob here: who would win, John Wick or James Bond? From Jesse. What up, Jesse? Long
range James Bond. In a short fisticuffs, potentially John Wick. Dirty boxer. Put it that way. He's a dirty boxer as opposed to the long fight.
He doesn't play by your rules. But yeah, looks like in the chat, a lot of people are saying John Wick as well. Maybe that
you guys have no. Then you obviously have not watched Bond.
How many movies they got to watch to get enough information for Bond?
Well, there's 25. Number 25 is coming out. So, and guess what, John? Bond 25 is coming out in October. That means the month of July, August, and September, we are rewatching all the Bond movies, John.
No, I remember I got onto Crave, and I think they had a blade for Bond, and I sent that picture to Rob, and I was like, holy crap, this thing's in the 20-somethings? I'm like, yeah, it's never going to happen. Sorry, I definitely can't catch up on those. We'd have to.
I got to show you my big, the Blu-ray set. It's like big, massive. It's got 2 books inside of it. Yeah, so we're going to watch them, John.
I would maybe consider the Daniel Craig era and onwards, which is how many movies is that? Is that like 15 or is that only like
15? You're an idiot. No. I
feel like I've only seen one. I think I've only seen Casino Royale because someone describes to me one of the other movies. I say, what about this scene? And they're like, that's all in Casino Royale. So I don't know how many of them I've actually seen.
Yeah, well, that's Casino Royale.
That's Casino Royale, right? Yeah.
Isn't that a remake too? Casino Royale?
Well, you want to get into it. So that Casino Royale was actually originally it was an American
book, right?
TV. It is a book that Ian Fleming wrote, but it was licensed off as an American TV show. Like back when they used to do live, it was like almost like a production back in like the 50s, and it was called Jimmy Bond. It wasn't even James Bond. It was an American guy. And then they did Peter Sellers did this really weird off thing for the BBC for Casino Royale. It was more of a comedy. So this was going back to the roots when they rebooted the character. They went back to the one property that hadn't really been adapted properly, which was Casino Royale.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah.
Chris is like, I don't give a shit.
Sure.
One day we'll have to go through and I'll describe to you all the scenes that I know from the Daniel Craig one, and you'll proceed to tell me that they're all from Casino Royale, even though I swear I've seen 2 more after that, but maybe I only remember the first part.
Well, so he's done 4. This will be his 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll get to 5s here. All
I
right,
just
anyways.
remember watching the latest one with Daniel Craig, and I think they had a car chase scene, and then they had a boat chase scene, and then I was sarcastically said, "Oh, what's next? They're going to do an airplane chase." And then they actually did that, and I was like, "Great writing, guys!"
Shut up.
Chase.
All in the same movie.
I would do,
Yes.
I would do Mission Impossible. If we do a watch all the Mission Impossibles, I would do that. And go through the first 3, which is up for debate how trash the first 3 are, or not. Or not. We'll leave that for another time. So before we got sidetracked, we were talking about Eternals. Trailer just dropped today. Watch it. Let us know what you think. We kind of had. I think
Mixed
we were
reactions.
expecting something. Yeah, I think we were expecting something different. And a lot of people in the comments have actually disagreed with us and actually been pretty cool about it. Sometimes they're dicks about it, but they've been pretty cool and explaining that, hey, you know what, I was expecting something this other thing, and it's going to be this thing. So we'll see how that movie shakes out. So definitely check that out. Definitely watch the trailer and let us know what you think. And then the Heroes World podcast, we did a mixed bag of stuff. We talked about MODOK. Episode 1 and 2, great Third Eye Blind song in episode 2. Best part of that series. And then we talked a little bit about our favorite mashup, Heroes Reborn.
Third Eye Blind has more
And we
than
come
one
up with our
song.
own. Do they?
They have 2.
Right?
There's 2 in the episode, John.
Oh, really? I know Semi-Charmed Life. That's the one, right? That's
Yeah. All right.
What else is there, Rob? What else? What else is Third Eye Blind?
It wasn't. I was never a Third Eye Blind. It was
Where's
way
your
out
Third
of
Eye
my.
Blind shirt?
what I'm saying, yo.
I have one.
It's on the bottom of your Tool shirts, like 10 shirts in. Do Tool, Third Eye Blind, because he keeps them in alphabetical order, because that's how Rob is. Anyway, sorry, we're off the rails because it's the holiday, folks, and Rob came in drunk, so we figured we'd catch up.
And yet, I think I'm the most sober acting one on here.
We're getting drunk off seeing your face. I don't know if it's turning red from the alcohol or the sunburn is kind of setting in.
I think he got a lot of sun today. And you can tell he wore sunglasses the whole time.
Yeah.
And probably a hat.
No hat. Look, you can
Okay.
see the red of the scalp there happening. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So Gordon's suggesting we move on. So let's move on. Let's talk John Wick and get y'all out of here so you can Rob can resume drinking. So John Wick 2. We're talking about Chapter 2. Was it just called Chapter 2?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it has a subtitle or anything like that. Directed by Chad Stahelski. I don't know.
Yeah, Stahelski, I believe.
Stahelski. Oh, that sounds better. That sounds more right. Came out in February 10th, 2017. And I'm going to compare a little bit of the stats of the first movie here. So I'll go over 2 first. So it came out in February 10th, 2017. Runtime of 122 minutes. $40 million budget. Yes, thank you, sweetie. And the box office was 171 million. So this one made a pretty good return on investment here. John Wick 1, directed by the same guy plus David Leitch, who went on to do Deadpool, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and
Deadpool
Atomic
2.
Blonde and a whole bunch of things. Apparently, he wasn't allowed to get the director's credit because you're only allowed to credit one director at a time or something like that. But he is also one of the directors of the first one. That one was only 101 minutes. So they got an extra 20 minutes in this one. And it only cost them around 20 to 30 million, and it made 86 million. So definitely number 2 stepped everything up. So I left it to Rob, surprise, to explain how 2 works and does it why. Okay, sweetie, thanks. Give us your overall thoughts on 2.
Well, let me just give you a quick rundown of what the movie is about. So the movie takes place essentially it maybe a day or so after the events of the first movie.
I think it's supposedly a couple weeks.
And John Wick is finishing off and tying up, I guess, the loose end as to what happened to his car. And then he is paid a visit by an individual who holds a marker. So essentially it was a blood marker that John Wick had promised. I'm indebted to you if you help me out with something that had happened that was kind of alluded to in the first movie with the scene with the pencils. And this individual wanted essentially, they expanded on the world of the Continental and the High Table, which are the people that oversee this world of assassins. And this individual wanted his sister eliminated because she had a seat in the High Table. He wants power. John Wick goes ahead. He does the dirty deed. He eliminates the sister and is then pursued by this individual, the brother, and chaos kind of ensues as Wick is trying to, I guess, get his revenge on the brother. He fulfilled the terms of the contract, and now he was double backstabbed or whatever, double crossed. Thank you. Yeah. He was double crossed and decided to go back and enact his revenge, and in doing so, has put himself in jeopardy that will lead into the third movie.
Yeah, third movie, Parabellum, which I'm sure some of you skipped ahead and started watching them. Quick mention to Jesse's comment here. He said he saw the same bearded guy get shot a few times. I don't know if they did this in the second one, but in the first one, they reused a lot of the stuntmen. So some of them would have the beards, and then later on when they reused them, they would get them to shave their heads and things like that. And so it's a pretty funny kind of like way of like changing their appearance.
It's cost effective.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the same guy bited a couple times. Sarah shouts at a game where I try to pronounce everybody's name on screen. I don't think anyone wants to really see that. Chris, anything to add about John Wick 2 before we start moving on to some other details?
Yeah, like Rob said, basically the scope of the first one was fairly narrow. You know, you got the revenge, the motivated by the killing of the dog. This one is like the scope is widening. Like you see like the little seeds they put in the first one, building universe. So they know, the makers know they got something here. So they're basically putting all these elements in to kind of expand the universe and potentially franchise this baby, right? So I thought as a sequel it was pretty good. You know, they could have done the lazy thing and kind of recycled the same thing, you know, a la like movies like The Hangover and things like that. Like, oh, it turns out the wife's not dead, and it turns out the wife wasn't sick and it was a targeted killing, and now he's got a more higher person to go after or something like that. But they actually kind of, I thought it was successful in that it didn't retread on a lot of the same things that it would have like a lazy franchise Fast and the Furious would do. Yeah.
let's not get into that. There's a whole Fast and Furious is coming up, so that's gonna be a rewatch on probably the main Heroes World podcast, because I know some people are mind blown that Andre loves the Fast and the Furious so much. Versus a lot of the other movies he's critical about. So that
it seems a little odd.
We'll leave that for what's going on there. Jonathan Yo does mention a little bit about comparing John Wick and John Wick 2. I think we're going to get to that later. We're actually going to probably rank these movies as we rewatch all of them, and towards the end we'll discuss if you like the first one or this one better, and then when we get to the third one, we'll add that to the list and see which one out of these ones we loved the best.
Can I just want to jump in. So I saw this at the theater. I don't know if you guys did, but I gotta say I was really underwhelmed the first time I saw this movie. Chris makes a really good point. They could have gone the route of just a photocopy, right? A carbon copy of what they had done the first time. I mean, that's what we got in Taken. Right? Taken 2 is exactly this. It's the exact same movie. So I'm glad that they didn't just do that. There are obviously some of the same beats. Instead of losing the dog, he lost his house. Jimmy the cop shows up. You're still working. See you later, Jimmy. Bye, John. So there are some of the same stuff, but I was really over. It took me a little bit of time when I bought this when it came out, and I decided to give it another go. I enjoyed it a bit more. I'm just going to very quickly kind of give you my issues with it. It's really two things. One is that it lost, for me, the grittiness that made number one so good. You could say that you could make an argument number one was was low budget, even though it was still like $20 million, I think, to make. That would still be considered like a low budget movie. And it lost that in the second one. This one was a lot more stylized. I know it's funny that we mentioned Bond earlier because I felt like this was a very stylized, very pop, very color-infused version of Bond. Like the last couple of Bond movies, the Sam Mendes ones have been very infused with color. So I always thought when watching John Wick 2, it took a little bit of the aesthetic from the James Bond franchise. You can even go with the scene with the mirrors. I mean, Enter the Dragon, The Man with a Golden Gun was one of Roger Moore's Bond movies. They did the mirror thing as well. And they did it in this movie in John Wick 2. But so I miss the grittiness of the first movie. And also, I got to tell you, as much as I enjoy that they did world building in this one, they literally built upon the very small foundations from the first. I was very irritated at the amount of assassins that are riddling New York. Like, It just to me it
did seem
it was
extreme.
preposterous,
Like
right?
So let's get into it now, then, Rob. Since you've already opened the door to this, and let's say so. What do you think, Rob? You are basically saying that you like John Wick 1 better than 2, is what I'm hearing. And
yeah,
you guys in the comments, let us know. Let us know how you rank 1 and 2, like which, or just put in the one that you like the best so far.
Yeah, I like number. I think if I gun to my head, I would pick John Wick number 1. I think at the time it kind of reinvented the wheel, so to speak, about those action movies, those close action with the grittiness. I really enjoyed it. This one, if this was not a sequel, I think I really would have enjoyed a movie like, if it was called whatever else. If there was no John Wick 1, if this was a movie, I would have been like, oh, this is kind of cool. I really enjoy it. But comparative to number 1, no. That being said, this movie is gorgeous to look at. But that's the rub for me, right? Like, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Like, the cinematography is amazing. That scene, again, with those in that mirror, that last 20 minutes, that third act is gorgeous, but it just felt like it didn't really belong in the aesthetic of John Wick.
Yeah, it's cool. And this guy is a new director, as far as I know, maybe John Wick being only his major projects. And it's really cool that he's basically, I guess, friends with Keanu Reeves. And I don't know if there is a backstory to be told of Keanu Reeves kind of setting him up, fitting in with Keanu Reeves' good guy image, that he was like, oh, this guy was my stunt double, and so was this guy in Matrix, and now I'm going to take care of them, and they're going to do John Wick now. But I feel like that would fit in with Keanu Reeves' whole aura. But Chris, what are you thinking? John Wick 1 or John Wick 2?
Yeah, I think most of the people would say John Wick 1. I'll agree with that. Yeah, John Wick 1 was better. The action sequences were more tightly, configured and things like that. You didn't have too much. But the thing is with this one, I guess you can't have it both ways. Like we can't like we were kind of saying that we don't want to retread. So they got to do something different, right? So like they're expanding things like not more better, but like you said, more stylized settings and things like that, as opposed to just like a house or a warehouse or something like that. So I think it's a necessary step. But in terms of the franchise growing and expanding, but yeah, John Wick 1 is a more tightly like configured action movie, I would say.
Yeah.
But if you look at that scene, like, did they really need the scene in Rome? Aside from it looking amazing and understanding that, hey, there's a Continental in other parts of the world.
I like that because it showed that the Continental is just not one place. It's the whole thing, right? Like this.
But did it need to be international, or could it have been Los Angeles?
Yeah, it could have been anywhere, really.
Yeah, it could have been like a penthouse at some.
You don't got the cool Winston. I guess the Italian version of Winston. You don't got that guy. Things like that.
Right. Are you here for the Pope?
Yeah. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah. So I think at the time when I saw this in theaters, and I think it's just a product of like my thinking. I usually like the newest thing or whatever. I do remember thinking John Wick 2 was a better movie. But like I got Scott's quote down here. You can't have John Wick 2 without establishing it with John Wick 1. So I used to always say that. But I think upon the rewatch now, I think I definitely did like number 1 better. It just seems to hit better. I like the music better and that kind of stuff. And we'll get into the action sequences and stuff. I see a bunch of the guys in the chat talking about the action of this one versus the action of John Wick 1. So let's move on from the 2, and it looks like generally in the chat, most of the I only saw a couple responses, but I think people were saying they do like John Wick 1 better than this one, and we'll see where 3 lands. I did see some chatter that was saying John Wick 2 is where it really gets rolling because they expanded all these types of elements in the world. So let me jump to that, and then we'll go to our assassin tier list game. So quickly, I want to ask, and we'll start with Chris, and then we'll let Rob, and then get in the chat. So, what was your favorite auxiliary character? Like John Wick bought the guns from a guy, he bought the suit from a guy. Like, who is your favorite kind of like vendor? I guess in the video game, this is John Wick. Of these characters, is it buying his suit or his guns or what? Chris, I know you talked about the gun scene.
It's got to be the sommelier, right? Like I think his name is Peter Safran's. Is that it, right?
No, Serafinowicz. I think
Serafinowicz. Sorry, it's funny. In this movie they have two they have him and they have Ian McShane, or like two I don't want to say voice actors, but like actors with great voices, like just like amazing, like very stoic voices. Yeah, so I liked him, the way he introduced the guns. You know, obviously, like the first time I watched, I was really into the guns, and this guy kind of did my job for me. He introduced every gun, very detailed, and explained it to John Wick, and yeah, I thought that was really cool. And he did have that sommelier's necklace too thing on, so just really trying to stay in character.
Yeah,
like,
what was that?
it's the little cup you use, I guess, to drink wine when you're one of those people. So,
so you wear it around your neck?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's yours, man. You don't want to share any with that with you. Yeah.
What do you think, Rob? Is the gun vendor your favorite vendor of this movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't. You can't really talk about the map guy because he didn't really do much. He just showed old maps.
Gave him the keys.
And then the people that were making the suit. I mean, yeah. So if I have to pick a vendor, then I would go with Peter Serafinowicz because he was hilarious. I mean, listen, that's the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I mean, he's a character actor. We've seen him in a lot of different roles. I mean, that whole interaction when he's like, okay, and what about for an appetizer, and he's like, oh well, let me show you this, and he goes, and for dessert, he's like, dessert. Like, and they pulled out all those knives, freshly stoned. That's what he said.
Does he say something as John Wick leaves? He says something like, "Do enjoy your party" or something.
Yeah, do enjoy. Yeah, really because cool John Wick says, "I have a party later." Yeah. So, yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah. So if I'm gonna go with that, I do want to give a special shout out to Peter Stormare, who played the brother at the beginning of the movie. I got to get that guy, when he's sitting back and he's like, he's just hearing
the gunfight go on.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, like, to me that was just I loved it.
I feel like if he told us, like, because John Wick was in the clear, and then the guy hits him with the cab, and then he just goes off, right? He's like, okay, my car, like, I guess he got out scot-free and the car wasn't damaged, so I'm assuming he was just going to go home, and then that guy hit him with the cab, and he's like, okay, now you've made me angry. My car is damaged. I'm just going to use it now to murder all of you. Yeah, I thought he could have probably just realized, like, hey guys, just back off a bit, make it seem like you're after him, and then just like turn around and come back. He could have saved himself a lot.
Let him drive off with the car.
That's not John Wick. I guess you could say that it was like a pride thing. You can't just let people come in and take your stuff, even if it's John Wick, right?
I'll go off brand, and my favorite was the seamstress. Yeah, the tailor, because that is actually the tailor, the wardrobe guy from the movie. They were just like, hey, just
really?
Yourself selling these suits, and
he did give him the most useful thing, which was the bulletproof suit.
That suit is like invincible
immensely throughout the whole movie.
and we'll talk about his I don't know what you would call it, his enforcer, or whoever was in charge, the old lady at the sewing machine or whatever. We'll talk about her a little bit later.
Little Italian lady starts pulling out Glocks and starts shooting off. It was hilarious. Yeah.
So well, actually, let's just dive into our tier list, folks. So we're gonna jump in. We're moving a little fast today because we don't want to keep everyone too long, and we got. I thought we weren't gonna have a ton to talk about of this movie, but I think we do. So I'm gonna throw the tier list up here. So we've added some people to it. So hopefully you guys can see that. Let's talk. Fraser shouting out the line, "Can you fix it?" when he brings the car to John Leguizamo. He's like, "Can you fix it?" He's like,
names like 1,000 things wrong. Then he goes, "Yeah, I can fix it."
I read a little trivia on IMDb, and apparently John Leguizamo was talking to the stunt guys who crashed the crap out of that car, and he was asking them things to say that were actually wrong with the car, which is absolutely hilarious. The attention to detail.
He does his research, boy.
Yeah. So we've got our assassin list from last episode. So we've got everyone here. John Wick at the top. Let's throw this guy back on here. Ari back on the bottom. So I've added only a couple new players to the map or to the list.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about Ruby Rose though. What a kind of I guess the deaf bodyguard of.
She's like mute or something like that.
Was that not like a huge flop to you? Like her character, not like in the end, kind of they're building her up and then she kind of. I don't know. I just thought they were trying to build her up as some sort of badass. They didn't even show her killing anybody, and it was kind of like, am I supposed to believe this is the final boss of this movie? And I don't know. I thought that was kind of a flop.
So let's talk about her first then. Yeah. So we'll throw her on on the list first, but let's talk a little bit about her. So I did like her originally when I watched the movie. I thought it was kind of cool, the whole mute thing, and I wasn't sure if maybe she was like a deaf performer or something like that, but I guess she just learned all that for the role.
She seemed like a lot of more style over substance in this, particularly in this movie. I know she's from Orange and the New Black. Maybe she's got like a following and things like that. But
this was the movie that right after. Yeah, this was the movie right after Orange is the New Black, so I think she was kind of riding off of that wave. I agree with what Chris. I don't think she's an assassin. This is the thing: is I don't think she was part of this world of the. I think she was just working for the.
I think she was a security guy, like head of security. She is who I thought this RA guy was at first, but it made sense. That
I feel like they should have showed her like at the very beginning, maybe killing somebody like brutally or like showing off a little bit of combat
brutal
skills,
murders.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I thought they were building up to something with her, and they thought they had something, but it was just not. It wasn't landing. Is what I thought.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I want to say.
Yeah. So it looks like a lot of people were not super impressed by her. So yeah, Sarah says Ruby Rose sucked. Cool hair though. Yeah, it was a nice cut. I would actually rock that cut if I could pull it off. Let's see. So where do you think she would where do you think she would land on this? Jonathan Yo mentions the sumo guy. All right, so let's throw her up here. Where do you think she would go? She would go like behind the market bottom? No way. I think
she didn't do anything, John.
She didn't do anything. Really.
She literally didn't do anything. I think she fired the gun 3 times at the end, and then she pulled that knife out of her back belt. Yeah. And it was more of like an ass shot. Like there was really no need to show her ass just to pull that knife out of her belt. So I was like, she did nothing. She was in the catacombs. She was on John Wick's ass, and then all of a sudden, when John Wick leaves, she's like 10 minutes behind him. Like, what is happening? Was she not pursuing him at all? Like, what the hell, dude?
She doesn't.
She took a break.
Cardio.
Yeah, the only thing right, and then all of a sudden she appears in the bar at the Continental in Rome. She's just sitting in the background on that couch, and it's like,
come on, no.
And how did she get there so quickly? Like, so I mean, I'm sorry. She's like
proficient with a gun. At least she knows how to fire one, so she's better than.
But she didn't hit anything. You don't know if she knows how to fire it properly
because it goes left to right. So put her at the end of that. Yeah,
I think like here.
I'd be okay with that because at least she can shoot a gun.
Some people, okay, let's put her there for now. I feel like she was pretty dangerous. I don't think she was as bad as people.
No.
I think she was good at No, actually, all those guys died. I was gonna say she's good at coordinating those last bunch of guys with machine guns, but they all died.
No, she didn't. She was
pretty horribly.
She was the worst. She was the worst employer or boss ever. You wouldn't want her as your manager. She was atrocious. No.
All right, so we're gonna skip Common for now because I think he's gonna go pretty high. What about this guy? I think his name was Earl. He's one of the homeless guys.
Another piece of the universe we didn't even talk about, the homeless squad.
He takes out a bunch of guys like very easily with his gun. He's kind of
sorry. I'd put him at B. I'd put him up at B. Yeah. He took those guys out with like efficiency, man. It wasn't. Yeah.
And he seemed to be. I don't remember Laurence Fishburne's name, character's name, but he seemed to be his right hand man, kind of like the guy. And he was at the end too. Yeah.
He was at the end reprising his role as the homeless guy.
Gord says Ruby Rose's role. I think her character's name was Ares. Which is kind of like maybe didn't quite live up to that name. She was in charge of logistics.
I just remember at the beginning, not to like keep crapping on her, but like at the beginning of the movie, she's like just like standing there in Rome sipping coffee, and she's like looks so uncomfortable and unnatural, even just sipping coffee. I was like, oh no, like this is not good. Yeah. Anyways.
All right, who's next, John?
All right, let's go to the violinist. So this was played by Heidi. Oh no, I think it's relevant because this was played by what's her name, Heidi Moneymaker, who stunt doubles for a lot of Hollywood royalty. So I think she does it for ScarJo and all kinds of different people in the movie. So I feel like she was pretty nasty. She does some martial arts.
She does get a shot. Yeah, she shoots him in the gut.
Shoots John.
Yeah. Isn't okay. I don't care where you put her because I have no skin in the game on this one. But it is interesting though that John Wick always double taps, right? It's usually one in the chest, one in the head, or two in the chest, one in the head. Nobody else ever shoots for his head. He never has any he never has any bullet shots like ricocheting off behind his head. Like he's never ducking. They're always aiming for his chest. Like it's like, are you the only person that understands a headshot is fatal? Like I don't understand.
They're going for a center of mass.
There's one point where he pulls his suit like to cover his face.
Yeah, to cover his face. Yeah, it was like very Batman-ish. He's like, I'm gonna use my cape. I'm the shadow.
I am the knight.
That's right. Which is really funny because I actually thought about that watching the end of this movie, running off. I was like, this is exactly like the Dark Knight, right? When this is not it's the hero we need, not the one that whatever. So off he runs in the night, being chased by the Gotham PD. Anyways,
okay, I'll put it there for now, just because.
All right, fine.
She's an accomplished stunt performer. I think she needs to go somewhere.
All right,
that she actually got to be a character in the movie.
John likes her, so you put her on B. Fine.
How about this sumo wrestler guy who is actually retired sumo wrestler?
Who knew being fat stopped your vital organs from being like shut down by bullets? Like what the fuck?
Even better, who knew being that large could stop a bullet being fired at the top of your head?
Yeah, exactly.
And then still is like,
saved them.
And then gets shot again the side.
Oh my goodness! That was ridiculous.
He was funny.
He did some damage. He did some damage though.
He did some damage. Yeah, he seemed to be able to take a lot of shots. So I would put it above the violin.
Yeah. If he was teamed up with someone else who could kind of like who was smaller, they could kind of like make sure that like if someone's on his back, they could get him off or whatever. Then I think he would have had a much better chance against John Wick. So we'll put him above the violinist. And then let's go to this. I just threw this girl in for fun. She's the girl from the.
Why have her and not Laurence Fishburne though? Let me explain that to me.
Because he didn't do anything. He didn't even fire a single weapon.
Yeah, but he's powerful.
But they revealed that the past is that he was some type of operator that John Wick cuts him, right. So
cut
who
his
knows?
neck.
He could have just been a just a regular generic.
And now he's the Bowery King.
Now he's the Bowery King. Yeah. So I didn't feel like adding him. He maybe in the third one if he does a little bit more, we'll add him on there. I just added this girl for kicks because it's kind of funny when she just whips out the gun and starts screaming. Yeah. But it was so funny. She's just like sitting at the sewing machine with her head down, and you don't see her. Gives her the coin, takes her to the seamstress, and then just all of a sudden she just starts whipping out a gun and starts shooting stuff. So whatever. I'll just throw her up there for the funs of it. Let's talk about this guy, Cassian. I think his character is called, right?
Cassian.
Yeah.
Cassian, yeah. So he's Common, aka Common,
right?
The rapper.
What upsets me about Common is how old is Common? At least 40 or 50, right? The guy looks exactly the same as he did like 20 years ago. Like, doesn't that make you angry?
Yeah, he's 49 years old right now.
Yeah, he looks the same, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, great genes. He does, John Wick has a decided advantage against John Wick in all the fights with him. One time he's shot, John Wick's shot, and the other time he's just taken out like the whole catacombs worth of guys. So, and he kind of fights him to a standstill there, and then he gets the better of him in the subway. But he definitely does better than I think anyone else has.
So he's got close because I think Keanu fights less guys before encountering Common than he does the other guy from the first movie, right?
But you know what though? Like honestly, here's the thing. I mean, I would put Cassian. He gave Wick a run for his money on those two different occasions. Also, John Wick is seen limping and dragging his bloodied morsel body across places where Common is just like, and he's strutting off, right? Like he looks like he has taken the least amount of damage in the beating with John Wick, which was kind of a little bit surprising because John Wick is the boogeyman. This is the guy that's supposed to be the best of the best, and yet he was routinely having his ass handed to him. Comparison to the other people he was fighting, there was no residual damage left. I would almost put Cassian maybe up with John Wick, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, he's maybe on that level. So quick question from Lewis. He says, "Is Cassian alive?" I think we kind of mentioned this a little bit at the top of the show before we kind of started recording, but
We did.
there is a spin-off of John Wick supposedly in the works called the Continental, which is supposed to air on Stars. So Chris had a theory that Common is being set up to be a character in that show. Yeah.
I definitely think he's alive. Like, why else have that sequence where he stabs him and he says, "Okay, if you pull it out, you're gonna bleed out." And
and then he does the same. He does the same thing to Ruby Rose and pulls the knife out. So he does it to Common. He's like, "This is a professional courtesy or whatever."
Yeah.
When he goes up against Ruby Rose, he's like, "See you later." I don't know if it was a joke, but I think Gordon mentioned that.
To be fair, he wronged Cassian to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Ruby Rose wronged him from the get, right? By even being in the movie. But I mean, like, Cassian, he wronged Cassian first by killing like the person he was hired to
his ward or something.
It's the person he's hired to protect, which kind of, if anyone's watched the Hitman's Bodyguard, is very bad for bodyguards or people who in the bodyguarding business.
So Gordon mentioned this little snippet. I don't know if it's true or if he's making a joke, but originally she says Ares was supposed to have lines until they saw Ruby Rose do her thing, and then they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be a mute now." But I don't know. Let's not pile on too much.
Just dunking all over Ruby Rose today, like
onto her. Yeah, it was suggested that we move I moved the two assassins down a rung from where William Dafoe.
I really think
the bum
Wick
was.
Wick should be a tier on his own.
My name is Earl.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe in the third movie we'll add an S tier, and John Wick will be.
I think he should be in the tier zone, but yeah, he did. Yeah, Cassian does really give him some licks. So, I mean, sure.
Sarah, I think we're all generally saying that Cassian is alive.
It's open ended. I think it's open ended. I think he's alive.
We'll
the only problem
maybe
is that
he'll show up in the third movie.
He has that smirk on his face as the train leaves, and he never blinks. So one could infer, oh shit, he's dead. But it's also possible that he's alive. So
it's pending contract negotiations, probably.
Right.
Yes.
They left it open. Like, if people really love him, we'll bring him back. If not, whatever.
Do you think Tom Cruise from Collateral is maybe in the train going the opposite direction?
No. Next question.
That's an old reference. I don't know, dude.
Fine. I love Collateral.
I see that movie, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But
yeah.
That's a tough movie to get through. Anyways.
No, it's a great movie. I don't know what you're talking about here. So I think are we happy with this? You guys don't want to move Ruby Rose up a little bit, or you just really think she was all style?
No, I don't think she needs. I don't know what purpose she really served in her character wise. I didn't know if they were trying to make her the equivalent of Adrian Palicki, like from the first movie. I wasn't sure. Like, when you're watching this, you're like, oh, I guess this is a new female assassin that he's going to be going up against, and she didn't do anything, and he didn't really break much of a sweat taking her out either. I mean, a couple of kicks, he avoided some knife shots. He broke her arm, he stabs her in the hand, and then she didn't. I don't think maybe she got one strike on him, but that was it. Like, it wasn't
really the size difference was really like apparent when they were fighting. I feel like if they made her, now it's probably not that type of movie, so they wouldn't have done it. But if they made her like more agile, like jumping around maybe, or like, evading hits better and things like that, it might have been better for her. I feel like she was miscast too. Like, imagine it wasn't her and it was, I guess, like, I don't want to say her name, but Gina Carano type. Maybe it would have been a little better.
But not her.
Well, I don't know if you can invoke her name or not and get like really like, but yeah, I feel like a Gina Carano would probably have been a better cast for that type of role.
Yeah, but is it the actress or was it the role? Like, as much as everybody's shitting on Ruby Rose in this in our comment section, is it the actress or was it the role that she was?
Like, she should be.
I think a little both. I think it's a little both.
Oh, you're nuts! You're pumping her up
you're
two different levels.
She can't take 5 gunshots like a sumo guy. Like, come on. Sumo guy took a shot in the head and then needed an extra one just to finish him off. Like, come on.
I don't think she's as bad as the bottom. That's what I'm saying.
I think she should be in C. I think you're right, but
I don't. That's fine.
D is relegated to like guys who don't even know how to shoot a gun, which is
you
that
got
guy.
a gun.
Yeah.
Someone give me a gun.
Again,
Who's got a gun?
Anybody can shoot a gun. It's whether you hit the target with that gun is the measurement of whether you are skilled or not. She had a gun.
Okay.
She didn't hit anything.
It took John Wick maybe 2 minutes or plus to dispatch her. So maybe she had a little bit of skill. I don't know. I think we need to stop dumping at her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough of that. We'll see if she stays there when we get to the third movie. So let's go over. Thank you everyone for participating in that nonsense. I think Gordon's gonna drop the mic at his little internet rumor there. I think that was completely a joke, but maybe we should add it to the IMDb.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Trivia and see if it sticks.
She was in. I did watch her in that XXX nonsense.
Yeah,
she was a little better in that. She was a sniper, I think. She was a little.
She had a
better
role.
in
Yeah, she was a sniper and did some
she's not
kind of
like the
fancy
worst
looking
ever.
movements and things like that. So.
And she was on that Batgirl show for a bit. You know, she can't be the worst thing ever.
She's
just
for
in this
a whole
role.
season.
Great.
I remember her being more impressive the first time I watched it. But anyways, let's move on beyond that point. So let's get everyone. So everyone in the comments, start dropping what your favorite scene or moment or concept from it. Like you just like the idea of this Continental or whatever. Let's go to Rob first because he's always good at doing this. What is your favorite scene, whatever, from this movie?
To be very honest with you, I think and I said this before, the movie looks gorgeous, and I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself from my earlier statements.
Any aspect ratio changes
of it. Shut up. But
that Commodore 64. What was the resolution?
Oh, I know. What was with that? Well, that's because I didn't want to be on. I know it was ridiculous. They were like, "Hey, let's run all these names on this old DOS-based program."
So stylized. That whole like call center, very stylized. You know, you got the
old school, the old school operators
with all the tattoos, wearing
and the girls with all the tattoos.
Or is it 50s or 60s? I don't know, but yeah.
I miss the grittiness of it, but this is the movie we have, and I love the cinematography of it. I love that scene though. The whole that third act in the mirror. The mirrored. It was an art exhibit. It was the looking into your soul exhibit, I think, or something. It was just gorgeous looking. It was phenomenal. I'm a sucker for those type of action scenes where you don't know if the person's coming or going, and you've got the different. The same different people because of reflections. I mean, when he kills Ruby Rose or Aries, whatever her name is, and then he's going after the guy, there's two scenes. Like he's walking towards
the door opens and it's him.
And the door opens and it's still him coming in the door. Like it was just the way they shot it was just gorgeous. And so I really, really love that whole sequence, is great. So
kind of like the Enter the Dragon montage. It also has one of the scariest things. I don't know if you've ever encountered this when you go to somebody's house. It's got that staircase.
Yes,
that has no railing.
No railing, no
open
like
side. That's scary to me. And when you have a big staircase that goes up and it has like they're floating steps, so it has no. That's scary.
And it's all mirrors, and then it was all blue lights as well. I was thinking to myself, like, you could easily fall and trip, and like you would get lost in this place. It was. Yes, I agree with you. Those floating stairs without the railing, it made me concerned.
I'm always like, I would be like, yeah, okay. If anyone, like, and I've seen people walk down those types of things, and they'll just walk down like it's like they won't even put their hand on the other side. They'll just like walk down like it's nothing. I'm like, dude, that's the scariest thing ever. Anyways, Chris Ho, what is your favorite scene, concept, whatever?
We talked about it already, and we thought it was very ridiculous. It was a ridiculous premise that you activate all the assassins, and like everyone with one of those flip phones, the retro flip phones, is an assassin apparently. Yeah. I thought it was a ridiculous premise, but that was some of the best action throughout the whole movie. I like in that. I guess that's in New York, and like some really beautiful like subway station they're in, right? Or subway tunnels. And he fights the various assassins, and he has some of the best action sequences in there because he's got to get creative, right? He's got to use the pencil or shoot. We saw talking a million times, but shoot the sumo guy 1,000 times. But like all those sequences, like the platform on the subway and things like that, a lot of cool kills in that sequence. And I thought that was the best for me.
Yeah. So we're already diving into this territory. People are mentioning the pencil scene. Scott is mentioning what was going to be my nomination for worst death, which is I think he drifts into a guy and hits him with a car, and he flies into that pole. And I think it's the worst death because he doesn't get. Normally, John Wick does 2 to the head after that.
I thought he was going to shoot him through the door was off. I thought he was just going to go like that and shoot him one time, but yeah.
And John Wick just leaves him, so that guy's probably like paralyzed and just dying on the floor for like the rest of the movie.
Save the bullet.
Do you guys have like my favorite scene is the whole, I think it's the whole opening with the Mustang and crashing.
Really?
Yeah. It was so visceral, and John Wick loves to get hit by cars. He just always gets like
seriously, out of nowhere,
hit by every car. So supposedly, so according to IMDb, Keanu Reeves did 95% of his stunts. The only ones being that he didn't do was getting hit by that car. So he did all his own driving, his own shooting, all that kind of stuff. And I think there's another stunt which looks really cool. I think him and Cassian are fighting, and he kind of like rolls down the steps.
They continually throw each other down the stairs.
Yeah. And he kind of does like a roll down the steps, and I'm like, damn, that's a good stunt. I wonder if Keanu did that, and apparently he didn't do that because that looks hella dangerous. So that was a really. Well, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I think the Cassian fight is probably going to be my favorite because when they go toe to toe and they start jumping and sliding across the hoods of cars to get to each other and things like that, and then they have that sequence where they're kind of like shooting each other, but not shooting each other.
Well, so that was the one thing that kind of irritated me is like in this when they're walking through. Cassian's up above, and
the secret
John
gunfight they had.
Yeah, and they're shooting, right? Like it's hilarious, but that's not how silencers work. And this is like the one thing about movies that always irritates me is that silencers don't actually go.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
like that. Like they're actually loud cracks. Like a silencer still has a loud crack, so people would know. Also, and I know this is like ridiculous because it is just a movie. But like the body count, like there would be a manhunt, like with all the security cameras nowadays, people with their cell phones, cameras in the metro, like in the subway stations. John Wick's face would be plastered everywhere for like being a mass murderer.
He does, even in the catacombs nightclub scene, he does kill a lot of guys with no regard for where those bullets go after once they go into people. Like he has no regard for what happens.
No, he knows exactly what he's doing.
No, wait, I agree with Chris. Those guns are high power, and he's up against a guy, and he shoots it. And you know that bullet's gonna fly. There's somebody there sitting there, there's fist pumping, they're doing the Zemo dance.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, what the hell?
Okay, so on the table is my worst death was that Mustang drifting into breaking the guy's back. I think Scott is mentioning one of the kills that you were going to mention, Chris. So I don't know if you have anything else that you want to nominate. So people, if you have any other nominations for guy who got it the worst or most stylish death.
Yeah, I have a couple. If Rob wants to go first, I don't want to take his.
No, you know what? It's tough because I felt like this one.
It's gonna be hard to top the pencil. It's gonna be hard to top the pencils.
Yeah, that was this one didn't have that scene from the first movie where he breaks the guy's neck on the counter. That was one of those we like, like that, right? Right? This movie, aside from the pencil scene, it didn't really have a lot of those like crazy moments. But I will say, and that maybe you might think I'm cheating out here, but the very last kill when he's in the Continental and he shoots the guy in the head, and you hear the crack of his neck as his head flies back after getting shot. Like I was like, oh, like you could, because it was so quiet. There was no music underscore. There was nothing. It was just the shot, that the loud bang and the crack of the guy's neck breaking as his head flopped back. Like that for me felt like the most, not gruesome, but the most like you could feel that death as opposed to the other ones, right? So I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah. So go ahead, Chris. What else you got?
I guess I have two. One honorable mention, and then the most gruesome one. So one honorable mention is on the subway platform. He basically fights a guy and he knifes his genital. It must be his genitals. He knifes his nuts all the way down, and then you just see like this pool of blood fly out from between his legs, and that guy.
And he continues to fight. I'm like, why is that guy still in the fight?
And then he does he's holding the knife like this, and he does like a spin move, stab. Straight out of like people who are doing like running and jumping punches in the UFC, kind of like that, like a spin move type move. But yeah, the worst guy who got it was the I think it was the Asian guy in the subway who, goes to the stationery store and buys, I want the strongest pencil known to man, please.
It's made out of titanium. Yes. It's a titanium pencil.
Actually, I don't know if that's the guy who had the pencil initially, but the second guy who, shades of Joker in The Dark Knight, he holds the pencil against the pillar and then just slams his head into it, and then you see like the blood all over. That made me go, oh, like that. Yeah. So yeah, that one's probably the worst one. Yeah.
I remember in the theater that was a big deal. Yeah. So one guy gets it in the ear. So who? Yeah. So it's almost like a debate who got it the worst: the guy that got it in the ear, or the guy that had it like rammed through the back of his skull. Like I don't know how hard you had to hit someone into a pencil.
What type of pencil do you want? The one that will never break.
Well, actually, Chris, you know what? I actually think, as much as we joke, I actually don't think it was, and I'm pretty sure Scott would be able to correct us. I don't think he got stabbed in the junk. I think it hit his the artery that's in your groin. I think it's the femoral artery.
You just Google that.
Well, no.
It's not adjacent. That's still pretty bad.
Yeah, but there's a difference about getting stabbed in your inner thigh by the groin as opposed to like getting stabbed in your sack.
We'll watch it. We'll rewatch it in slow motion to find out. But it did.
But that amount of blood. Yeah. That amount of blood is actually you is a severing of the aorta. So
I feel like maybe it was the gut and then downward. Maybe, I don't know. It was great.
Who knows? Yeah. So it definitely is probably gonna have to go to one of the pencil deaths. Do you think it tops the death in the first one with the neck getting busted over the kitchen table? I don't know if we determined if that was the worst one in the first one or not.
I think we did determine that, but I agree with you. I think it was probably the worst because he killed 3 guys with one pencil. Yeah. Which was
unsanitary.
Harked back. Yes, lead poisoning being the least of the concerns. But that was transmission. It harks back though to what the whole, and they mention it in this movie as well at the beginning. He killed 3 guys with a pencil, and the guy's like, "I've heard the pencil story before." He goes, "It was 3 guys."
Who does that? Yeah,
he kills 3 guys with a pencil. So I thought it was kind of funny because he looks at the pencil, he just chucks it. Right? I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny."
It's a really intense crossword that guy must have been doing. What was it, Sudoku or something?
It's also, maybe it actually was his weapon of choice. So maybe it was some type of enhanced pencil. I think someone does actually mention the whole a quote of like, "Oh, all the tales you've heard about John Wick were washed down" or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Someone.
Whoa, Rob, you getting some serious hate in the comments.
Okay, I don't even know if we can.
Is it related to the licorice farts from last week? Is that why?
So Scott, yes, it was ephemeral iliac, and then yes, here we go.
Yeah, he stabs his main vein, bro.
Oh god, we're getting too detailed now. So favorite scenes, a couple of the guys do mention the tasting. I think Fraser mentions the tasting and the sumo fight. The whole weapon scene is a great scene on its own, and doesn't even have any action going down.
Did the Matrix reunion resonate with you guys at all? Like when you first saw Laurence Fishburne?
You know what? It was kind of ruined though because you saw it in the trailers.
Yeah,
like it was kind of spoiled. I think it would have been pretty cool if you're watching and all of a sudden Laurence Fishburne shows up. You're like, oh my god! But it was kind of ruined because everybody knew it was happening.
Yeah. I feel like that too. Yeah.
And it was an interesting part. I mean, I think we all kind of secretly wanted Laurence Fishburne to be like some type of mentor in some capacity, but right, yeah. But it was what it was. It was all right.
The glasses with no ear.
Yeah, that's right. Just pushing the glasses on. Yeah.
What do they call it? Ear loops? I guess no. Just the
arms.
I don't know, hooks or
whatever. Aren't they called the arms of the glasses?
Yeah,
I've only worn glasses like my whole life, and I don't know.
You don't know what they're called. You just wear them. They just work.
All right.
It's not, and it's not like that's the part that breaks, and you got to go order a new one. It's always like something in the front SO. You're never like, oh, this thing broke off because my ear's too hard or something. I don't know. Anyways.
I put this pencil behind my ear, and now my glasses are broke.
The titanium
the vibranium pencil. Yeah,
it probably was vibranium.
I just picture like going to the stationery store and like the different materials, and the last one is Wolverine's bones. You got the pencil.
Yeah. Do you want a wooden pencil, a number 2, or do you want? Like, oh, we got the big plastic pencil. Oh, you want the king of all pencils? That's the titanium, and then you want the king glossy pencil. You want the adamantium vibranium hybrid pencil. But it's gonna have the shell of a regular pencil on it. So the only person that knows is you that you are using this fantastically high-end pencil. But all I'm saying is it's a very unsanitary move by John Wick. He should have wiped them off between each kill for
with what?
Sanitary with his
tie.
Yeah.
Can I just say I'm really glad he ditched the turtleneck and suit.
The tactical turtleneck? No way.
Yeah, when he goes to that
like
I guess it was like the bank or
yeah,
and he gets that and he pulls out all those clothes. I was like, oh, that's handy, and it's like a turtleneck, and I was like, ugh. And he throws a turtleneck on with the suit, and I was like,
the sport coat? Come on, it's a tactical turtleneck. Your neck gets cold, killing people so much.
Yeah.
Whew, okay. All right. So I don't know if we can top the turtleneck unless it was a dickie in his
Whoa, John, calm down.
No, it's only the like top half of the turtleneck. It's not the rest of it.
Yes.
So like, he takes off his suit and he's just got this armored like neck piece.
No, we saw the entire sweater. He pulled it out.
Yeah. Very, very, very stylish. Anyone in the comments? I don't know if there's anything else we need to cover. Rob, do you have any last thoughts on this movie?
No, again, I guess it just somebody in the comments earlier had mentioned it that they thought it was pretty cool when Ian McShane's character calls, he nods to the guy and the guy has a cell phone and goes, okay, in the park square at the end, and everybody stops. Like it was like a flash mob and they all just stopped. And then he nods and they all walk away. And him running and seeing all these
what a flex
regular people sitting on the park bench, like the mom with the stroller, like just looking at him, and not because he looks like a weirdo with his face all covered in blood and he's hopping around with a dog, but because like she's an assassin. So that was the one thing. Again, you can world build and you
was
can
a dog
make
an
it
assassin
fun,
too.
But it just was. It got to me to be a lot. Like you can't have that. Like I was like, I get that it's a club, it's a membership, but it should be small and confined. This was like having 4 different football teams, like full rosters of people. So I wasn't. That was the one thing I kind of irritated me. Is that there's just too many. Everybody in Central Park was an assassin, and I was like, "Come on,
seriously,
man."
Like everybody, yeah."
So I am looking forward to rewatching number 3, though, and I will.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the theater to see it. I own the movie. I have not seen it since I went to the theater, so I'm very excited to rewatch number 3.
Yeah, even same for number 2. I do own it, but I don't think I've actually watched it in its entirety since seeing it in the theater. So, and then same with 3. I think we saw it in the theaters. I don't know if Chris, you went with us or whatever, but we did see that in theaters. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that and if that changes the list, if that goes to the top, or if it's still John Wick 1. That kind of like even when John Wick, like I mentioned, I think the first one, John Wick 1 and Jack Reacher came at the same time. I would have chosen Jack Reacher over John Wick if I had to pick my favorite whatever movie of that year is. But now the appreciation for John Wick 1 has definitely grown. Chris, do you have any last thoughts before we wrap up John Wick 2?
One thing they did at the beginning, I just remember when I watched it the second time around, I was like, when the guy blows up his house. And I know the dog is in there. I'm like, no, they did it again. They killed another dog. Those sons of bitches are gonna do it again. And then the dog comes in and licks his face, and I'm like, yes, the dog is still alive. Somehow he knew and he got out. Good dog.
Yeah. He was out playing. He sent the dog out to play fetch or something like that. I remember watching. I don't know if you remember this Sylvester Stallone movie called The Specialist.
Yeah,
he blows up his house at the end, and he owns a cat. So I remember as a kid always going, "What happened to the cat? Did he grab the cat and run out?" I'm like, "Don't tell me he left the cat in there to die." But anyways,
you can't do that nowadays. The pets have to be accounted for because you can't kill animals in movies. Or house pets, I guess, in movies. It's just not something you do, man.
yeah, you know, it's a big no. So, but yeah, it was fantastic to rewatch this. And
Yeah, it
thank
was
you
a lot of
everyone
fun
for joining us in this hilarity. Thank you for everyone getting into the plot. I mean, into the comments and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't need a plot for this movie, really.
Yeah. Thanks, commenters.
yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate everybody. It was a lot of fun. Hope everybody had fun, and I hope they enjoyed John Wick #3 with Halle Berry, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So speaking of James Bond, let's just throw Halle Berry.
Halle Berry and the guy from Iron Chef.
Yeah, Mark Dacascos. Yeah.
That guy.
Oh right. Yeah, the Capoeira King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think that's actually his uncle? the original Iron Chef's actually his uncle?
No,
I don't know. It'd be cool if it was. It'd be really cool if it was. So before we close this up, any other movies? I know we threw out a bunch of like John Wick recommendations last episode. Is there anything else you guys would recommend people watch if they've polished off 2 and then maybe they've jumped ahead and watched 3 already? Is there anything else you would watch?
I just finished. It's funny this morning. Yeah, well, not really in the style of this movie. I just watched, and I mentioned this last week, and I'm only bringing it up again because it's only on Crave for the next couple of for the rest of this week. It's 47 Ronin. I watched it again last night and finished it this morning. It's a great watch. So if you it's Keanu Reeves right before he does John Wick. So still with the long hair and the beard. So you're like, wait, John Wick is now in ancient,
samurai times.
That's right. But it's a hell of a fun movie, as the kids would say. So I would recommend, and I'm only again bringing it up because it's on Crave just for the next few days before it gets removed. So.
Okay, Gordon shouts out Gemini Man. I think Gemini Man definitely did have a similar feel to this. I didn't mind it when I saw it in theaters. I don't know how it's going to hold up on the rewatch, but it's got some really cool scenes in it. Chris, do you have anything that you would find similar to this?
I was gonna recommend it for after watching John Wick 1, but I spent my time last week talking about guns. I don't need to do that. The sommelier did that for me this time. I would recommend, if you like these really practical fight scenes and things like that, I'd recommend a movie, Indonesian movie called The Raid. If you haven't seen it yet, it's like a paper thin plot. It's like a guy is at the bottom of a building, he needs to get to the top, and he has to fight his way all the way up. It's like a video game plot, but the action sequences, the fight sequences are amazing, very practical, and these guys are doing their own stunts and things like that, so they're like really,
so if you haven't watched The Raid, I think it came up during our Judge Dredd rewatch as well, but Raid, phenomenal movie, phenomenal step in action filmmaking. I'm trying to think of what else I would recommend. I did you guys see Atomic Blonde by the other director,
David Leitch?
So I did see that. I did see that in theater. It is not just female John Wick. It is more of a spy movie. But it does have some really crazy fight scenes. I think the second in command guy that we ranked so high, I think he's in it, and he fights who's it? Is it Charlize in the Atomic Blonde? I don't remember.
Yeah, Charlize Theron.
Yeah, Charlize Theron. Yeah, and she takes some punishment. Man, that girl likes to show getting beat up. But if you want something kind of that's like it, but it's not. A lot of people call it Jane Wick or whatever at the time. No, don't expect that to happen. But it is a good, I feel like, spy movie with a similar feel to what John Wick had going on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna circle it back and say, if you haven't seen it, watch Casino Royale. It's one of the best Bond movies of all time. So.
Yeah. I think it's the only one that I've seen that I remember.
Yeah,
which one has the building? The building is like sinking in the water.
That's Casino Royale. That's in Rome.
That's Casino. Okay, what about there's a big warehouse on fire and everything's burning down and there's these platforms and stuff like that?
That could be any movie.
No, that's the same. That's the same building. That's the same scene.
Okay, here's a Casino Royale. That first sequence, the park, I guess you call it parkour scene, when he's basically chasing that guy. The guy's doing all these acrobatics and
on the crane.
And this version of James Bond is a little more of a goon, so he breaks through the walls. He's like, I'm not parkouring. F that. I'm going through stuff. Right. I thought that was kind of cool. And then, I mean, we can get into it later, but it kind of was downhill from there. But
yeah.
There you go.
There's a scene where he has to get the defibrillator from the car and jumpstart his heart.
Yeah, because he's been poisoned.
Yeah, or he sits in the chair with no butt, and he gets the most elaborate, ridiculous.
Yeah, elaborate way of kicking a guy in the balls.
The fucking rope under him in his balls.
This is all from the same. This is all from the same movie, right? It's what Rob's saying. It's all from the one.
How great is it? It's amazing.
Why?
Okay, anyways.
Why did she?
Oh,
and then you just punch him in the balls, man. Just punch him in the balls. What are you doing?
It's like those scenes in the movies.
That's
the 80s one was you get punched in the stomach.
Torture, guys. How long of a rope do we need, and how much do we need to swing? Just punch the guy in the nuts. Yo.
He's sitting down. Why would you want to bend over and do that? You could just use a bullwhip and knock him.
And
Jesse,
I think the guy
that's
he whips it under his legs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember watching it. Just like,
Maybe we'll have Rob do a break.
watching?
We'll have Rob do a breakdown of that scene. And go, this is why
Frame by frame breakdown.
He's
This
like,
is why this is the
why
best
you
James
need to
Bond
do
movie
that.
ever made.
Oh, I didn't say that. I said it's one of the best James Bond movies. All right. Anyways.
Okay. So people are liking James Bond, so maybe we'll have to do this James Bond thing.
Don't have me on for that one.
Which, by the way, the scene in John Wick 2 in Rome, that is actually from one of the Bond movies. The where they were doing the dance party. That was
Oh, there was
The
a
Spy
chair
Who
with
Loved Me.
with nobody in it too.
It was The Spy Who Loved Me.
We'll have to pull a picture of this chair.
You rewatch that scene.
This is,
Rewatch it.
I don't remember originally
What is
watching
this
that.
doing in an action
It
movie?
was a wicker chair. He cut out the bottom.
Oh, I'm sweating so much. It's so funny. Okay.
He put him on it, and James Bond says, I'm gonna die knowing that you were tickling my balls." Like that was, yeah.
For that line, they did all that. That's awesome.
It's a pretty elaborate setup. Okay. Anyways, okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I think we got to wrap it up. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep talking about this James Bond scene. And I feel like that should be a whole separate podcast. Yeah. Thanks everybody. Rob, I think you got a new video dropping.
I might.
tomorrow.
I don't know. I've been drinking all day.
Rob's too drunk. The video will literally be him eating a piece of licorice, and then he'll roll credits.
I'll be talking about Casino Royale.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I think we do want to do an Army of the Dead review. Hopefully, I haven't got a chance to watch it, so we're gonna have that coming up for you guys. Also, there is the Friends reunion happening this Thursday, so hopefully we can drop some. So we do, and Sarah's gonna be on this, and we're gonna throw down some trivia, and we're gonna see who is the supreme Friends nerd. And keep track of the score. So I think that's all we got left for you guys. So, Rob, where can they find your
on a chair
that's not coming out this week?
He's gonna reenact it now. Did this really hurt?
You can find me on Instagram at _905. It's all spelled out. Also on YouTube. I'm sure John will put the links in.
Yeah, I'll try.
Or not.
Well, if you're not going to release any video this week, why should
No,
I
will be. I will be.
Maybe he'll do one video this week, folks, and maybe it'll just be him eating a whole bag of licorice and dealing with the consequences. But okay, so thank you very much, folks.
That was the last one at the grocery store.
Yeah, that was the last bag.
They're not restocking it.
Yeah, it's like the Twinkie. That was the last of the black licorice.
They'll make a return.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. We kept you long enough. I think that's it. Go enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your long weekend,
I think
everyone.
Scott's got his long weekend coming up next week. So
all right.
Have fun with that, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. We'll have a James Bond episode later on dedicated to the chair. Okay, we better go. All right. Bye, guys.